All right, welcome back. This is still The Beam, and we're still looking at social engineering and how Nigerians can survive the scams. I'm going to be joined today by a brilliant gentleman who's a seasoned cybersecurity consultant with over a decade of expertise in safeguarding information system and thwarting cybersecurity attacks. He's Mr. Ayokumi Ogundakpo, who holds a master's degree in cybersecurity and human factor from Bournemouth University. Mr. Ogundakpo, you're welcome to the program today.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie. Thank you for having me.
All right, it's a very timely topic because data suggests that there's a rise in all the scams, phishing, social engineering, human hacking, and there's a target because of the number of Nigerians who are on the internet right now and the number of persons who are doing online banking. There's a rise in the scammers who are trying to get to Nigerians. And then the first question I would say is to open this whole discussion, what are the types of, social engineering scams that are targeted at Nigerians right now? I mean, the core ones.
Yeah, thank you. Well, let me just try to clarify first that social engineering can happen both on the internet and also offline. And Nigeria, like many other nationalities, are also subject to this attack. And like the rate at which Nigeria volunteer information online actually make it easy for attackers to actually target them. And onto your question about the different types of attack that Nigeria is experiencing, I think a chief among them is actually a pretexting, which I also personally have also experienced. In this type of attack, an attacker may invent maybe tactics or scenario to earn the victim trust and deceiving or probably persuading them into giving them a false justification for a certain line of action. For instance, they may concur maybe a scenario. For instance, it's possible to get maybe a call nowadays, which I think is common among Nigerians. Just getting a call and someone saying that, oh, I'm calling from your bank. We noticed that maybe your account is about to be debited and then we're trying to stop it. Can you give me maybe your bank card number or probably a PIN? And all it's just a concocted effort to actually gain the trust of this individual and also gain the sensitive information that they need to defraud them of their account. Accounts. Another tactic is actually a scareware, which actually employs threats and misleading alarm to also get individual into taking an urgent and irrational action. For instance, it is possible to get a call. We've had instances of reports where individuals actually confirmed that they got a report from someone calling them from an antivirus solution provider, asking them to urgently connect to their system because they've detected a malware or something that is taking their private information, which nobody really wants to hear. And because of this urgency, you see people quickly jumping on the call without thinking and giving maybe soon-to-be attacker an access to their system. It is also possible to get a phishing call impersonating maybe an individual, directing them to take an action. Maybe someone getting a call supposedly coming from his manager at work, asking him to take, maybe to transfer money from one account to another, which just because of the authority of the assumed personality, it's very easy to quickly believe all these scams without actually verifying them, which are the things that is costing Nigeria a lot of their hard-earned money currently.
Okay, so there's something that is triggered a different line of thought for me. How much is AI playing a role in this right now? Because I can almost envision that some of these things have started really coming into AI practices and all that.
AI is making, the way AI is making life more efficient for people, for individual, it's also making it it's also making it easier for cyber attackers to actually target individual and to social engineer them. AI currently thrives on the data that is available to it. And if you look at an average Nigeria today, I think there is a survey that says that an average Nigeria posts like maybe about 15 to 20 private information online every day. And all of this information are what is crucial to maybe an attacker to actually create a persona to target. So with AI now there, it's actually very easy for an attacker to actually leverage the power of the AI to scavenge the internet, get information about an individual that they really want to target in their scheme.
Right. Okay. So now, how can we identify, a potential social engineering scam, just before it happens? What are the red flags per se? What can we look out for?
The red flags, like I mentioned, the potency of social engineering is actually in the vulnerability of individuals,
Mm.
the personality weakness that we have as human beings. In cases where we are being promised maybe too good to be true, reward for taking certain action,
Mm.
sometimes we throw away caution, and this make us fall victim to these schemes. So any call that come in and probably asking you maybe to make a decision as a matter of urgency is probably a scam. Urgency maybe too good to be true.
Mm.
Request for personal information, sensitive details like your banking details or maybe your NIN information, poor grammar in an email where the communication is happening over an email,
Mm.
or probably email coming from an unknown sender asking you to take a certain action, may just be the red flag that you need to actually see that you are being targeted, and this might be an attack, an attempt at actually social engineering you.
All right. So you just mentioned some very funny things, as regards how you might be promised some things that are very outrageous and all that, and then you mentioned the comment about the poor grammar that can come
Yeah.
alongside. But you see, we've talked about how we have our information out there so much. I mean, it's a world in which we need to share information, right? So how do I protect my personal information as to not be a victim of this whole process?
I think the first thing is ensuring that you check information you put online very well. I know that nowadays it's possible for an individual to just take maybe picture without knowing, possibly snapping taking picture of his house address, or maybe his children's school address, or maybe where you have a lot of people, maybe family ties, and then you are tagging individual, mentioning their name, telling about the places that they've worked and the interesting things about them. These are the information that an attacker can actually put together to create a persona, interesting information about you that they can use again now also to actually social engineering you or convincing you into doing things that you shouldn't do. So I think the first thing is actually minimizing the information that is out there. Minimizing the amount of information we put on social media will probably be the first step. Anything that has to do with your private sensitive information like your address, your date of birth, it's okay to put maybe your day of birth, but not just put everything including the year. These are the things. You probably have noticed that there are so many instances where you want to recover maybe access to an account or recover a password, and then you are being asked to confirm your date of birth. If you have this in the wild, this means that anybody can actually recover the account on your behalf and gain undue access to your account. So I think looking critically at the information that we have out there and ensuring that we actually minimize them. Things like our BVN, NIN, date of birth, house address, your bank, the bank where you bank should not really make it into the open. They are private information and should be treated as such.
All right. So, for instance, there's this question as regards sometimes if I am being tracked, I could notice from my phone being maybe too hot, maybe the battery keeps running down easily, stuff like that. People have said, oh, those things work. Is there something that happens gadget wise that we can say, oh, all right, I am being targeted as somebody who, they're trying to social engineer? Is there gadget wise? Is there something of that nature?
Yeah, there is really nothing of that nature. Just because my phone is hot doesn't necessarily mean that I am being targeted. And also, I'll probably say for social engineering, when it happens, you probably get persistent call or maybe attempt at someone asking you to take action that you should not take, or probably trying to incentivize you into divulging sensitive information that may lead to harm if it gets if it gets into a wrong hand. What should actually signal maybe the triggers that people should actually look for is if you begin to get frequent calls, unsolicited calls from individuals or no personalities asking for information about you, or probably trying to convince you to give them your bank details, trying to get information about your personality that should be confidential and not should be in the public domain, then you should be concerned. Also, if you probably, maybe aside that, you are getting email notifications saying that someone is trying to log in into your account and those actions were not initiated by you, I would say you should be concerned. But there is no evidence to actually say just because the phone is being hot, it means that I'm being targeted. What I probably also recommend, because there are instances where maybe things like malware infected a phone, and also from the infestation of the phone, it's possible to actually get private sensitive information from the phone and then get it to the attacker. So I also recommend probably having a good security solution on the phone that can actually scan your phone and also alert you when there are concerns.
All right, I think we're going to be taking a break at this juncture, and when we return, we'll be looking at more on the role of social media, and then we'll be asking questions also as regards what should the banks be doing right now, what should the government be doing right now, what legal practices and protections are available, to victims of social engineering scams in Nigeria today. I think those are some of the